Liu Kang, champion of Earthrealm. Kung Lao, descendant of the great champion of the Order of Light. Two icons from the Mortal Kombat franchise. Two Shaolin monks who have one of the best fight scenes in this past summer's Mortal Kombat 2. In the first Mortal Kombat movie, we saw them fight side by side with each other to fight against Shang Tsung's team. We get a little backstory for them and where they come from, we get a feel for their brotherhood and friendship in the little time we have spent with them. They've got each other's back through thick and thin. Kung Lao's introduction is literally him coming to save Liu from Sub-Zero. Of course, this movie tragically ends with Kung Lao dying and Liu Kang trying his darnest and rushing to return the favor and save him, but he unfortunately does not make it in time. I think that's what feeds so much value into the scene where we see them square off in the sequel. The fact that they're best friends having to go head to head clearly adds an emotional angle to the fight, but it's also Liu Kang's failure to save him that adds a layer of guilt that brings additional nuance to the scene. He's coming face to face with his greatest failure, saving his best friend. It's important to note how the actor who plays Liu Kang, Ludi Lin, describes their bromantic relationship.
Match. That's why in this bromance breakup, it's so heartbreaking. Is because they know each other. They're tied to each other. They're soulmates. Yet they have to only one gets to come out of this alive.
This emotional aspect translates really well into the fight choreography. There's moments of hesitation where Liu does not want to hurt Kung Lao. But Kung Lao, being a revenant soulless version of himself, is just hell-bent on killing Liu. And wow, is he relentless at it. The hat flying around creates this constant tense feeling of uneasiness as you're left wondering, oh shit, that thing is coming back around. Where's it gonna be next? Every time it flies by, you can't help but wince and brace yourself. That edge of your seat feeling is only complemented when we see Liu effectively dodge it every single time it comes his way. Each punch and kick in their fight escalates the tragedy of the situation as we see that both fighters know each other so well. There's this sense of spectacle, but not the kind you get from something that's heavily choreographed like a dance routine. It feels intentionally reactive like in a real fight. These guys have trained together since they were kids, and I love the fact that that's how Liu Kang knows where the hat is coming from. He's out there punching and kicking the thing whenever it comes his way. He knows all of Kung Lao's tricks. And in the same manner, Kung Lao knows all of Liu Kang's tricks. The sheer tenacity and utter frustration Ludi portrays here is so palpable, it actually triggered my flight or fight response. I felt like my heart was trying to punch its way out of my chest because I didn't want to see Liu die. He's my favorite character from the franchise. Ludi Lin and Kung Lao's actor Max Huang describe where they took their fighting style inspiration from.
So yeah, definitely inspired by, especially MK11 has helped me a lot with this role.
I played MK11 a lot, scoured the internet for all the cutscenes, so thanks fans for putting those up. I made sure we separated Max's Wing Chun from Liu Kang's Hung Gar type of martial arts.
It's super interesting that MK11 was the game that these two primarily referenced as their inspiration. It was the one that got me back into the series, and I had loads of fun with it during my college days and during lockdown. I absolutely adore Liu Kang's fighting style in MK11. I know the game itself faced a lot of criticism for being not as fast-paced as the other games, but his moveset is quite literally a mirror copy of Bruce Lee's fighting philosophy known as Jeet Kune Do. And this is why this is the perfect Mortal Kombat fight. The choreography is mesmerizing, and rather than simply having them both trained in the same Shaolin techniques, the filmmakers went the extra mile by faithfully adapting each character's distinct fighting style from the games, which were themselves inspired by real-world martial arts. Every movement reflects those influences, allowing the contrast between their styles to shine in all its glory. Liu Kang was directly inspired by Bruce Lee and Japanese samurai Minamoto Yoshitsune. At first, he was going to be Minamoto, using his name and likeness, but lead game designer John Tobias thought the name was just too long to remember and spell correctly, so they simply just called him Liu Kang. The character was renamed Liu Kang as a nod to actor Gordon Liu, who starred in the 1978 film The 36th Chamber of Shaolin. His ethnicity was then subsequently changed to Chinese. He was originally going to be a traditional monk, bald and in robes, but when the Korean actor and martial artist Ho Sung-pak, who played Liu Kang in the first two games, refused to shave his head, the character ended up being modeled after Bruce Lee, and was depicted as a renegade monk who grew his hair back. Tobias additionally drew inspiration from the 1973 film Enter the Dragon in developing Liu Kang's backstory. Characters in video games go through various redesigns all the time, especially in the early stages in development, but it's fascinating how this change only further cemented Liu Kang as a Bruce Lee type character. Throughout all the games, most of his movesets are just Jeet Kune Do or Jun Fan. In reality, Junfan or Junfan Gung Fu was the martial arts style Bruce Lee taught prior to 1967, while Jeet Kune Do was what he taught after that. Junfan Gung Fu was essentially based on Wing Chun, mixed in with strong, direct punches and footwork from Western boxing, and smart distance and angle control from fencing. There were also kicks from different Chinese styles, and a bit of grappling and throws blended in there. Jeet Kune Do, or the way of the intercepting fist, was more of a mindset or philosophy than an actual fighting style. The core idea is to intercept, hit your opponent as they're starting their attack, before they fully commit. Everything stays simple and efficient. No wasted moves. Ludi outright says his fighting style in the movie is based off of Hung Gar Kung Fu, a southern Chinese martial art known for its deep, stable stances, powerful hand techniques, and dynamic power generation, which is pretty different from his Bruce Lee style in MK11. This is contrasted brilliantly with Kung Lao's fighting style Wing Chun, which is essentially one-to-one from MK11. You might recognize this fighting style from the Ip Man movies. Bruce Lee was a huge part of my childhood. Watching his movies with my family was a staple in my household. Every fighting game we had, I would always pick the Bruce Lee character. Tekken, Law, both of them. Soul Calibur, Maxi. Dead or Alive, Jan Li. Mortal Kombat, surprisingly, it was actually Smoke and Sub-Zero. But after the story of MK11, and when I saw Liu's fighting style in that game, he shot up to my #1 spot in the series. So when I found out his fighting style was a bit different than what I was used to in this movie, I was a little caught off guard. But I feel like it carries the essence of what Jeet Kune Do stood for. Lee designed this mindset to break free from the rigidity of traditional dogmatic martial arts styles. Instead of blandly following a preset system, the philosophy encourages continuous practical self-improvement. He took techniques and ideas from many different martial arts styles and sports and combined it into one. Bruce's Jeet Kune Do held the mantra of the style with no style. Absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. And Ludi did just that with his interpretation. I took Jeet Kune Do classes one summer just for fun after I graduated college, so I'm by no means an expert on the subject, but the point of it was adaptability. Despite it having core pillars rooted in Wing Chun's speed, Western boxing mobility, and fencing footwork, your personal Jeet Kune Do could look pretty different from someone else's Jeet Kune Do. Liu Kang repeatedly has to deal with the hat as an actual weapon, adapting his strategy throughout the fight. It's only until he switches up his fighting style where Kung Lao cannot anticipate the fiery punches and kicks anymore. His typical attacks are more grounded and structured, confined to the style of Hung Gar. But whenever he uses his powers, it becomes more fluid and elemental. Using his fire, ironically makes him formless, like water.
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. And when you're talking about combat, well, I mean, if it is a sport, now you're talking about something else. You have regulations, you have rules. But when you're talking about fighting as it is,
no rules.
With no rules,
not real fighting.
Well, then, baby, you better train every part of your body.
The fact that Ip Man was Bruce Lee's teacher makes this scene so much cooler. I love how they incorporated some representation of combo juggling from the video games in here. In most fighting games and in Mortal Kombat, every character would have a launch type of attack that would send their opponent flying into the air. And then from there, you could punch their toes repeatedly and that'll delay them from hitting the ground. This can rack up some nasty damage if done correctly. In real life, obviously that wouldn't work. You punching their toes is not going to send them flying another 4 inches up in the air. So having Kung Lao roundhouse kick Liu into the ground, then Cyclone Hat spinning upward beneath him, I think is a pretty clever way to show a little bit of that video game energy in a tangible way, without it messing with the gravity of this scene. Both literally and figuratively. Not to mention the heart-pumping remix of the original theme song interwoven into the score. Also, as I was writing this, I found another interview where Ludi went on to say that they also incorporated Wing Chun and Choi Li Foot whenever he specifically used his fire powers. The first being one of the pillars of Jeet Kune Do, and also the fighting styles of Ip Man and Kung Lao, and the second not necessarily being a core pillar in Jeet Kune Do, but it being mixed with the other techniques only further represented the concepts of mixed martial arts Bruce pioneered. This scene is a celebration of both traditional kung fu and mixed martial arts. The fight ends with Liu Kang finally accepting that the bromance he has is not with this version of Kung Lao. It was with the version that died. the one he could not save. Having this breakup angle encoded into the fight scene really made this feel like an uncomfortable conversation Liu Kang is having with his guilty conscience. It's beautifully poetic and kind of deeper than what I was expecting from a Mortal Kombat movie. The actors knocked it out of the park here, and even seeing the behind-the-scenes rehearsal for this specific fight is super interesting to watch. Apparently there was supposed to be a double knockout punch moment. They filmed it and everything, but it was ultimately cut from the movie. You could see them rehearsing it here in their rehearsals. Their enthusiasm is so infectious. I can't help but love this scene the more I think about it. What did you guys think of this fight scene? Was it your favorite? Kitana's fight with Shao Kahn was probably a close second for me. As of recording this video, they have plans for making a third movie, and I'm really hoping it happens. I really want to see them continue the story they've built up. Liu's vow to bring Kung Lao back but not today needs to be completed. I need to see this arc through. It's just too good to end it here. Anyways guys, that's it from me. For more of my videos, just click right here.